Hello and welcome to Punk Magic episode 8, and on this episode we're going to be talking about employment, and not just employment but wages and whether they reflect the cost of living. Now, do you remember when you were younger and your parents used to get on your back for not doing much with your life? They used to be like, "Oh, why are you sitting around in your pants just playing Xbox all day, not doing anything? You're 24, go get a job." Maybe that's not you, I don't know. But my response was always the same. It was like, oh, well, I can't just go down to the supermarket now and get a job, can I? Well, it turns out you can.
I think this is a really important announcement, not just for Tesco, but important announcement for the country. When you're announcing the creation of an extra 20,000 jobs over the next 2 years.
But the question we're going to ask in this episode is, are these jobs financially stable? Are they going to provide people with the security they need to go on and live their lives? Now, this is a topic I'm really passionate about because when I left university, I was forced to go out and get a job, but that job didn't pay enough for me to live a life. I mean, yeah, it paid enough to pay the rent, it paid enough to get back and forth work, and just to afford really basic food, like, you know, a bag of basic chicken from Sainsbury's and chips. And if I was lucky during the day, I'd be able to afford like a sausage roll from the garage across the road. And that's really no way of living. That situation is endemic across the UK, especially in the big four supermarkets. I think this is really unfair that companies like Tesco, a big retailer, doesn't pay a living wage. Now, the living wage is a wage that reflects the cost of living, and it's a lot higher than the national minimum wage, but that's because the national minimum wage isn't enough to live on. The trouble with supermarkets is that they don't create economically and financially stable and sustainable jobs. I mean, and it's no wonder why people want to stay home and live off benefits, because the jobs that are being created don't provide people with the security they need to go out and earn a fair wage. So here's a clip from Newsnight where a woman is speaking openly and candidly, but anonymously, about her experiences of working for a supermarket.
And the pay, I don't think it's enough to live on. I am in arrears with my rent at the moment, not by a lot, but it is there, and I have received letters saying that, you know, I could be thrown out of the house that I live if I can't catch up with my arrears. I'm also behind with my the council tax. I just don't even want to think about, because I'm so far behind with that.
You know, and you can see from that clip that that is no way to live. We live in a society where people want to work. We'll give them a fair wage. People are scared that there is a class of people out there that are exploiting the system, they're fiddling money, and they're not paying their fair share. And there are. And it isn't the people that are on the council estates, it's the people in St John's Wood, it's the people in the stockbroker belts in Surrey, it's the people out there with loads of money.
Supermarkets pay low wages. Many on the lowest hourly rates survive only by claiming in-work benefits. Sarah, not her real name because supermarket workers are not allowed to talk to the press, earns £200 a week working nights and relies on £120 a week of tax credits, including child tax credit, to make ends meet.
And remember, you, the taxpayer, should be angry about this, because you're footing the bill for these fat cats that set the wage so low so that they have to claim in-work benefits from the government. So they're claiming public money because private sectors aren't paying enough money. And it's very easy to sit there and get angry about people that aren't in work and that are just scrounging off the state, but there are bigger scroungers out there. The scroungers that don't pay a living wage, that don't pay enough money so that people have to claim in-work benefits. These are the people we should be angry at, not ordinary people, not looking within ourselves. We should be looking towards the establishment, the elite, the politicians, to not just support the living wage, but actually pay the living wage. It's not as if these people don't know that they're doing wrong, because they know they're doing wrong, because they'll refuse to comment on this. They'll refuse to talk about the issue of living wage, and they think, well, we pay the minimum wage, well, that's enough. Well, it's not enough to live on, as Sarah showed in that documentary.
None of the employers wanted to appear on camera, but were happy for their trade association to speak for them.
That says it all, really, that they won't appear on camera and talk and justify the fact that they won't pay their staff enough and why they use exploitative zero-hour contracts. So they draft in their trade associate, Jane Beavis. Now, have a listen to Jane Beavis talk.
The government's policy is a national minimum wage, and we not only meet but exceed the requirements of the national minimum wage.
And she says exceed, like, by how much and by whose standard? Like, you listen to Sarah, like, she's struggling to make ends meet. They don't exceed it, they exploit it.
We help a lot of people who otherwise would be dependent on benefits.
They are dependent on benefits, in-work benefits. Your money, your public money, you're using to subsidise these private companies. Right, from the same interview, watch this little bit where the interviewer asks her a question, right? And like, because she is so robotic, and so because they have pushed her out there to spiel off the narrative, to recite the script to the media, she sort of, when she gets a question asked by the interviewer, she's sort of off script.
So the message is, be grateful you've got a job, and it's not our problem if you can't live on the wages.
Our retailer.
So she's like, as if she's like a robot, like, exterminate, exterminate. So to tackle this issue of the living wage, last Christmas I teamed up with Share Action to target 12 of Britain's biggest high street retailers, including Marks and Spencer's, Primark, Tesco. So we went in store, undercover, hidden camera, and did some punk magic. Just before we finish, a quick story about Tesco. As we were finishing filming there, we just heard a voice boom across the store. It was a member of staff going, "You can't film in here, boys!" Run over and started telling us off. So we were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we were just taking a picture for our mums because of the offers." And she was like, "Oh, that's fair enough. All right, okay, off you go." So we sort of left the store and then just looked over my shoulder and I saw the woman look at the sign that we just put there, just sort of squinting at it. And I was like, "Shit, we better get out of here. We're gonna get in trouble." I go back to the store like a week later. I thought, oh, bloody hell, I'll just go check if that sign's still there. Still there. Yeah, member of staff saw it and thought, must have thought, bloody hell, too right. So if you've enjoyed, click subscribe. It could be here anyway. I don't know what format you're watching this in, but click subscribe and I'll see you in episode 9.